Hello everyone, this is Ankit Jain. I welcome you all to my channel Tech Journey with Ankit. This is part 3 of our Change Data Capture series. In the previous part, we discussed in detail what is Change Data Capture, what is standard channel, and what is custom channel in the Salesforce. In this part, we will see how we can subscribe to the Change Data Capture using the triggers. So let's go and start with the agenda for today. So first we will discuss the recap of the previous session. Next to that, we will go over the change data event triggers. Next to that, we will discuss in detail how you should go and write down the test classes to test the changed event triggers. After that, we will see how you can fetch the information of the different subscribers that are subscribed to the change data event. And in the last, we will also do the hands-on as well. So let's get started with the recap. If you recall, in the previous session we discussed that change data capture is nothing but a streaming API that is applicable on the Lightning platform. This change data capture will enable the developers to efficiently integrate the Salesforce data with the external system. For example, as soon as the data is created in the Salesforce system, if you want to integrate that data or any DML operation has been done on that data and you want to integrate that updated data with the third party system, definitely you can go for the change data capture. In the previous session also, we discussed in detail about by default, we'll get the standard channels from the Salesforce. Also, Salesforce do provide the provision to create our own custom channel as well. So to create our own custom channel, it's a two-step process. First, you have to go and create the custom channel, and after that, in that custom channel, we have to go and add the channel member. And once the custom channel is ready, this is how your custom channel can be represented by slash data followed by the custom channel name underscore underscore chn. I do recommend folks before you go and continue this part, I do request go over the previous parts where you can understand the standard channel and the custom channel in more detail. Now let's try to understand how you can subscribe to the change data capture event by using the Apex trigger. So whenever you are writing down the Apex trigger and you want to subscribe it, you have to always take a note that your subscription will always run asynchronously. Once the record has been successfully committed into the database, then and then only your change data event trigger it will start working on. Right? Now most of the times when you go and write down the change data event trigger, we always think that we not achieve the same functionality by using the object trigger as well. For example, let's say you do have a kind of a requirement that as soon as the account is created, you want the case should be created or an email should be go out, right? For example, you can definitely do the same thing in the same account trigger as well. But why you should go for the change data event trigger, right? Definitely that question will come up, and the answer to that is very simple. Ideally, as per the Salesforce, whenever you are writing down the transaction based logic, when again what is transaction based logic? For example, if you want the operation to be completed in the same transaction, then you should go for the object trigger. But if there is a requirement that object should or the operation can go and continue on an asynchronous path, then you can also think about the change data capture events as well. So whenever you want to decouple your operation from the transaction based to asynchronous operation, definitely change data event is a very good alternative to think about. Moreover, sometimes we do get a challenges. For example, a transaction is taking a very longer time to process. So we can also think about an alternative by using the change data capture event where we can shift the transactions where we can go and shift the few parts of the transaction which is not required immediately on the change data capture event triggers as well. So how to write down the change event trigger? Always remember folks, your change event trigger always works in one event, that is the after insert event. Here you cannot use another events. For example, you cannot go for the before update or the before insert or before delete. There again all these events are not possible in the change event trigger. It only works with one single event, that is the after insert event, right? And it fires after the event message has been published. So as soon as your event message is published, then and then only the change event trigger will fire. Another key point about the change event trigger here is it do runs under the automated process entity. So for example, if you are creating the record by using the change event trigger, you have to make sure that you are correctly setting the owner of the record. Otherwise, the default owner is the automated process entity wherever the record is getting created by using the change event trigger. And the next point here is the maximum batch size that your event trigger can handle is 2000 event messages. So this is how your change event trigger will look like. First, here you do have the trigger followed by the trigger name on. After that, you can specify the change event object name. In the previous part, we discussed that the naming convention for the standard object as well as for the custom object. So for the standard object, we do have the account change event, and for the custom object, we do have the employee underscore underscore followed by the change event. This employee can be replaced with any other custom object name as well, right? And after that, here we do have the after insert event. So this is how a typical body of the change data event trigger will look like, where you go and start writing down the trigger on the account event object, and here you do have the after insert event, right? Another key thing that you do have in this trigger is the change event header. For example, in your trigger, you want to access the different information, like you want to access the entity name, you want to access the change type. For everything, you can go for the change event header. When we move towards the demo part, we will try to understand in more detail what all different information is available in the change event header. But for now, you can see that from the event header, we are accessing the few information, like we are accessing the change type, we are accessing the entity name, right? Most of the information that you need. For example, in the header, you again have the what all different fields has been changed. You will get most of the information in the change event header, and you will store this change event header detail in the event bus change event header object, right? You will store the change event header detail in the event bus dot change event header object. So these are the few takeaways from this slide, folks. Always remember that there is after insert event and maximum header details that are available in the change event header that you will be storing in the event bus change event header. After that, these are the few points that we already discussed. Again, I have put it here so that you guys can revise one more time that it always works in the after insert trigger. By default, the owner will be the automated process entity, and in one batch, you can have the 2000 event. Next to that, for example, let's say you have created the change events. Now you want to make a query to figure it out what all different triggers has been written to subscribe to the change event. The one-stop solution for this is the event bus subscriber standard object. By making the query to this event bus subscriber standard object, you can fetch the details about all those different things. For example, which object is subscribed, what trigger that has been written to subscribe that object. You will get the complete list from here. Now we have written the trigger. As we all know that whenever we have to move the trigger into the production, we have to write down the test classes for it. Now what all different things that you should take care whenever you are writing down the test class for the trigger? The answer to this is first thing that you have to do here even before performing the DML operation. Again, the key thing here is you have to do this step before performing any DML operation in your test class. What you have to do here is you have to invoke the method test.enable change data capture. This method will enable the generation of change event notification. If you are writing down this method will enable the generation of change event notification. Again, it doesn't matter for this method whether you have enabled the object in your setup or not. Even though you have not enabled the object in your setup, and if you are invoking this method, that is test.enable change data capture, then also you can go and enable the notification for that change event. Once you have enabled the change event notification and you have performed the DML operations on the record, then you can go and send the notification by using the test.getEventBus.deliver method, or you can use the test.stopTest method as well. By using any of this method, you can send the notification. So first step, you have to enable the notification, and after that you have to send the notification by using this either of this method, getEventBus or the test.stopTest. So this is how your test class generally typically looks like. As I said, you have to first enable the change data capture notification. So this is what you will be doing up here. And after that, to deliver the test change events, you can use this method, that is the test.getEventBus.deliver method, or you can go with the test.startTest or the test.stopTest as well. Either approach will work whenever you are writing the test class for the change data capture event. And once this has been done, definitely you can go and write down the system.assert statements to validate the successfulness of the change data capture test classes. I hope you guys got the basics how you should go and write down the trigger as well as the test classes. Now let's move towards the demo part where we will implement the trigger, and also we will see how we can write down the test classes as well. Let's go over the problem statement for the today's session. So business is asking that whenever the new contact is created or the contact email address has been changed, we have to go and create the task for the contact. We will be implementing this problem statement by using the change event. Definitely you can implement this by using the object-based trigger as well. But as we are learning the change events, we will take this as an example and try to see how we can implement this by using the change event trigger. So let's get started with the implementation part. But one thing, folks, before you go and implement this, you have to make sure that you are subscribing to the change event notification. If you are directly following this video, kindly take the note of the steps that you have to follow. First, you have to go here and look for the change data capture. Here you have to make sure that under the change data capture, you have selected the entity as the contact entity. If you have not done that, make sure that you are moving the contact from the available entities into the selected entities. And once this has been done, you are good to go to write your trigger. So here I'm on my editor to writing down the trigger. So here I'm creating my Apex class, and sorry, let me go and create the trigger first. So here I'm creating the trigger by using the create Apex trigger, and I'm giving the trigger name as contact change event trigger. You can give any name, that's completely fine. Right here on the S object, as we are writing down the trigger on the contact change event object, right? So we already discussed the naming convention that we should follow whenever we are writing down the triggers on the contact change event. Again, I'm repeating that for the standard object, it should be direct contact change event, right? You have to use the object API name followed by the change event. If you are doing it for the custom object, you have to use the underscore underscore. But as we are doing here for the standard object, we can directly use the contact change event. Now, the next point we also discussed that the event must be after insert. Whenever you are writing down the change event notification, you have to make sure that you are using the after insert event. Now, as we follow the best practices for the trigger, we have to check for the context variable. So let's quickly do that. So here I am checking that if trigger is after as well as the trigger is insert, then and then only we go and execute our logic, right? Now, the next thing, another good practice that we follow, we don't write the business logic in the triggers. We always shift the business logic to the Apex classes. So let's go and create the helper class for this one. So again, I'm taking the Control Shift P, creating the Apex class and putting the name as contact event trigger helper, right? So this is my helper class. In my helper class, I am creating one method that I will invoke from the trigger, and my method name here is public static void. You can give any method name. I prefer to give the method name as after insert, right? Now we will call this one from the trigger, and my trigger job is done. So let me go and invoke this after insert, and I have to pass all the event data that I am getting, which is available in the trigger dot which is available in the trigger.new. So my trigger job is done. As my trigger is sending the data, I have to receive that data in my helper class. Now in my helper class, I am accepting one parameter, and I am naming that parameter here as the contact change event type. And let me give the parameter name here as contact change event list. So I got the list of change events. Now, the next thing that we have to do here is, as per my problem statement, whenever the contact is creating or whenever the contact is changing, in contact change specifically the email address is changing, then I have to go and create the task, right? Now, before we go and implement this, let's try to understand what all different information that we do have under the contact change event list. And for that, I'll start iterating over this contact change event list. So to do that, again, I'm using the for Apex loop for contact change event. Here I'm putting the event of contact change event list. And here I'm putting the event. Let me go and simply print this system.debug. Uh, Here I do have the event. Now, if you folks recall, we discussed that in our slides that whenever we are dealing with the triggers, we do have the major information available in the change event header, right? So again, I am also taking the information from the change event header and storing that information in the event bus dot change event header. So let me again navigate here and do that. So I am putting here the event bus dot change event header. Let me give the parameter name here as the header is equal to the information is available in this event dot change event header, right? Now we'll also go and try to print this header as well. So system dot debug and header, and here it is my header. Before I actually go and implement the logic, let me first show you what different kinds of information we do have in event, and after that what different kinds of information we do have in this header as well. So for the time being, let me quickly go and deploy this, and also I am deploying the trigger as well. Now here we have to go and print the logs, right? Because we have to check that value. If you folks recall, here I mentioned that my change event always runs under the automated process entity, right? So what I have to do here is first I have to go and set the logs for the automated process entity in my org. How to do that? It's very simple. You have to navigate to the logs, navigate to the debug log, and here you have to set the debug log for the automated process entity. By default in our org, we do have one setup for the system administrator. Now I am setting another one for the automated user. So from the user, I am selecting here the automated process, right? And you can go and define the start date and end date according to your requirement. And here I can go and put the debug level as the default level of SFDC dev console. And let me go and click on save. Right now you can see I have set up the one more for the automated process. Now the next thing, we have to go and update the record so that my trigger can be fired automatically. Now there are two ways to do it. You can either do it directly from the org. Let me do this with the help of Postman. As we are learning the integration, it's better to get yourself familiar with the Postman. I already released one video where I detailed how you can integrate the Postman with your Salesforce Org. So if you are not familiar how to do this, make sure you check out that video. So here I'm selecting my workspace, and after that I will do the quick authentication with the org as well. So here I'm selecting my list of APIs that Salesforce is providing, navigating to the authorization, scrolling down, clicking on get new access token. All these steps are I have explained in detail in one of the video. Make sure that you are go and check out the playlist of the channel. So here I go and click on proceed and clicking on the use token. Now the next thing that I have to do here is I have to perform the update operation, and I will doing this with the help of REST API. Navigate to the S object, navigate to the patch request for the S rows update. So with the help of this, I will go and perform the update operation. So first, let me quickly navigate to the param. Here I am putting the S object API name as the contact record ID. Let me go and take any record ID for the demo. Mm, Let me go here and take the record ID from the org. Let me navigate to the contacts. Let's say this is the contact. I'm copying the record ID, navigating here and putting it here. For example, I want to update the email address. Right, so I'm putting the API name and whatever the email address that I want to update. Let me put the email address here as takejourney@ankit.com. Right, and after that here I go and click on save. You can see that the record is updated successfully. Let's go and refresh the logs page to validate whether the log has been generated or not. You can see that the log file is generated. You can either view from here. I generally prefer to view it in the VS Code. So I am getting my log under the VS Code by taking the Control Shift P. And here we do have the option SFDX get Apex debug log. If you're not finding it here, you can also type it down, get Apex debug log. And if you go and click on this one, it will show you the debug log here in your VS Code itself. Now, what all information that we have printed the event. So here you go and look for the event, and you will see the different types of information is available in the event. So you do have the contact change event, you do have the ID, reply ID, change event header, right? This is what we are storing the header details, right? Again, if you move further, you do have the email, which is the field that we have modified, right? Here you are getting all the change fields as well. So all the key information that you require or that is available in your payload is also available in the event as well. Same thing, you can also check for the header as well. So this is where we have printed the header. In the header also we do have the change fields, we do have the origin, right? So you can see that the origin is coming up from the Postman with the commit number, and all those details are available in the header. So that means our trigger is working as expected. Now we have to go and simply write down the business logic, right? Now again, to write down the business logic, I'm coming to the problem statement. What business is asking is whenever the new contact is created or whenever the contact has been updated, right? That means nothing but the email address has been changed. So there are two operations that are possible. First one, either the contact is created or the contact is updated. So how we can figure it out what operation business is doing? The answer to this is available in this class, that is the change event header. Again, if you take this class and navigate to the Google, you will get the Salesforce documentation about this class, change event header. Here you do have the complete details, what all different properties which are available in this class. You can see that change type is the one which will give you what operation that have caused the change, and that's what we are also looking for. So what we will try to do now is we will use these properties or the methods available in this class, right, to do our job. So first let me go and check the type here. So here I go and I'm checking the type. Here I'm putting that if uh, header dot change type. Again, if you want to check the valid values for the change, although we already discussed in the previous session, but I also show you here, you can see that these are the valid values: create, update, delete, or undelete. In our scenarios, we are only looking for create as well as the update. So you have to make sure that you are using the exact same case here. So here I am checking if the change type is create, then what I have to do, I have to go and create the task. Similarly, the next thing for the update, what I have to do here is, let me also go and put it here, header dot change type if update. So here I go and I'm checking for the update. If the operation is update, then again I don't have to go and create the task. In addition to the update, I have to also check if the user have changed the email field, right? If you read this, we have to perform the operation of the creation of the task only and only when the email address has been changed. So how you can validate whether the email address has been changed or not? Again, you have to navigate to the documentation, and if you scroll up here, you can see we do have one method that is the, or we do have one field that is the change field. This field, it will return you the list of fields that has changed in the update operation. So we have to use this field and do our job. Again, this field is returning the list. So as we are getting the list, again we have to perform the loop and we have to get that value. You can see that it is having the list which is of type string. So let's go and implement the logic accordingly. So for Here I am using the data type as string. Why string? Because here the data type is string. That's why here I am using the string followed by the any variable name. Let me give the put the variable name here as the field followed by the header dot change fields. Header dot change fields like this, right? Header dot change field. Now we got the field that user is changing. Now here you can go and validate whether the field is available or not. So you already have the field name. So here I am checking that if the field is rating, right? Sorry, if the field is email. So here I go and put if the field is sorry double equal to email. Here I am checking that if the field is email, because in case the user have changed the field, then and then only the email field, then and then only you have to go and create the task. So here I am putting that again, create the task. Right now we have to write down the simple logic where we have to go and create the task. So first we have check for the create operation, right? In case of create operation, definitely we have to go and create the task. But in the case of update operation, we are checking for the specific field. And if that specific field has been updated, then and then only we go and create the task, right? Now let's go and try to do this with the help of in this method itself, or you can also go and create one common method and pass that data in that method as well. It's one and the same thing. Let me do it for the simplicity. I'm directly doing it here. Okay. Before I go and implement this, I want to create one list where I can store the list of tasks, because there can be more than one contact what that is updating in the batch. So it's better to use the collection to perform the DML operation. And here I am putting the task list is equal to new list of tasks. Now in this task list, we will go and add the task. So here I am creating the task. Let's say I'm putting the task is equal to new task. Now in this task, I want to populate the different details. For example, I want to populate the task subject here as new contact is created. Kindly do the actions. Right? This is how you can go and populate all the different fields one after the other. One key field that we have to populate here is the owner ID. Why owner ID we have to go and populate? If you are not populating the owner ID here, by default, the owner will be the automated user. And we don't want that, right? And so to avoid that, we have to take care that we will go and populate the owner ID. Again, you can easily get the user who is performing the commit by using another property, who is modifying the record by using another property that is nothing but the commit user. So what we will do here is we will try to use this property to get the information who have done the changes for that record. Now the next thing that we have to do here is we have to make sure that we are linking the task with the contact as well. And for that, here we go and populate the who ID as well. So in the who ID, we have to go and populate the record detail. Right now there can be more than one record that has been changed, and you will get the list of all the IDs that has been changed from the record IDs. Right, another property which is available in the header, that is nothing but the record ID, which will give you what all different records that has been changed. Again, it is the list of string. Again, it is the list of string. So what we have to do here is either you can go and populate all the IDs one by one and create the separate task, or you can also use the one record at a time. So it's completely up to you how you want to do it, right? What I will prefer to do here is I will start iterating over the record IDs one after the other, and then create the task or add the task in that collection. So this is the record ID that I do have. So let me again perform the iteration here. So for string record ID mm, of header dot record IDs, right? And in this loop, now I am creating the task, right? So here I have to go and make sure that I am populating the who ID as well. So here I go and populate the who ID is equal to the record ID. Who ID is equal to the record ID, right? Once all the details has been populated into the task, now the next thing that you have to do here is you have to add that task in this task list. So let me go and do that. Task list dot add, and here I am putting the task. Here I am putting the task. Same thing, you can also do it here as well. So either you go and repeat the complete code, or another thing that you can do here is you can go and create the separate method. As I said, for the time being, I am simply repeating this code. So let me go and copy this block and putting it here so that a new task will be created. So that a new task will be created for the change record. If you want, you can also change the subject. Let me put the subject here that email address of contact is change, right? Email address of the contact is change. Now your task list is populated. You have to go and perform the CRUD operation on that task. So here my for loop is ending. Outside my for loop, here I will go and check if the task size is greater than 0 or not. So dot size is greater than 0. Then within the try catch block, I am performing my CRUD operation. So here I go and perform the insert task list. In the case of exception, I am printing the exception here. System.debug task creation failed. And here I am putting the ex.get message. Right? I don't need the finally block. So let me take out the finally block from here. Right? Very simple trigger. Let me again repeat one more time what all different things that I have done before I actually go and save this. So here I started iterating over the event. First, I showed you what all different details we do have under the event as well as the header. After that, I navigated to this change event header class where I do have the maximum details. So I was using all these properties one after the other. For example, I have used the committed user to check which user have changed the record. I have used the property here, for example, as the change fields to figure out which fields has been changed. I have used the property here change type to figure out what type of operation that have caused the change, right? Definitely as per your requirement you can use few other properties as well. Once my trigger is ready, for every action I have created the task, and in the end I have performed the DML operation on the task. Now let me go and save this, and we will validate whether the functionality is working as expected or not. So what I will be doing here is, first let me go and change the email from the Postman, and then we will validate whether the task has been created in the org or not. So here I go, I am changing the email address, for example, takejourney@ankitjain.com. Okay, here I am putting the another email address. Initial email address on that contact is takejourney@ankit.com. Right now I am putting here as the takejourney@ankitjain.com. Let me go here and click on set. Now here I go and refresh the page. You will see that a new task has been created. Email address of contact is changed, right? A new task has been created. Email address of the contact is changed. Now we will also check for the creation behavior as well. So I am creating the new contact here. For example, let me put here the Mr. Take Journey with Ankit, and I am linking this to the account Take Journey with Ankit, and let me put the email address here as uh, takejourney@test.com, and here I go and click on save. Again, the expectation here is a new contact is created. So you can see that either you are doing it from the Postman, then also the functionality is working as expected, or you are doing inside the org, then also the functionality is working as expected. If you want, you can also create the new record from here as well. Here also we do have the option to create the as object record. here you can see by using this s object create, you can also go and create the record. It's completely up to you how you want to do it. Now let's go and write down the test class for this. For that, again, I am navigating back to my editor and creating the test class. So for example, here I am taking the option of Control Shift P, taking the option of create Apex class and putting the test at the end. Again, there is no such rule that you have to follow this way. It is just like I am following the recommended naming convention from the Salesforce so that my test class can be identified easily. Now to let the Salesforce know that this is the test class, I am using here at the rate is test. Likewise, I'm also go and create another method and naming for that also I am using the @is test notification and giving the method name here as static void validate change event notifications. Right? Now here I can go and write down my business logic in this test method. Now, before we go and do further, again, if I take you to the notes, as I mentioned, there are two things that you should do whenever you are writing down the test class. First thing is you have to enable the change event notification, and after that you have to also deliver the change event notification. There are two ways to deliver it. Either you can go and use the deliver method, or you can use the test.start test and the test.stop test. In this demo, I'll be doing this with the help of deliver method. So for that, again, I am navigating back to the editor, and here first I will go and enable the notification, and for that let me go and put it here test dot uh, enable change data capture, right? So that my change data capture notification will be enabled. After that, here I can go and perform the DML operation. So let me go and put contact con is equal to new contact, and here I am putting the first name, for example Ankit, last name is equal to Jen, and the last one is the email that I am putting here as ankitjain@test.com. And post that, here you can go and perform the DML operation on the record, and for that I am using here the insert con. Again, the expectation here is as soon as the record is inserted, a new task should be created in the system. So let's go and validate whether that is happened or not, and for that again I am making the query to the task object. Let me give the name here as task list is equal to select id from task where subject, because subject is something that I am passing while creating the task. So this is the subject that I am passing, so I am checking for the same subject whether the record is created with this subject or not. So here I go and pass the subject. Right, after that how I can validate whether the operation is successful or not by using the system.assert method or system.assert equal method. So here I am using the system.assert equals method where I can go and pass the expected value as well as the actual value. Under the expected value, I am expecting the value as 1, and let's go and check what can be the actual value, and for that I am using the task list dot size. Right, I hope this value will also come 1 and our test class will be successful. In case it is not, I am putting the error message that is during insertion change event is failed. I am putting the exception message as during the insertion change event is failed. But again, one key thing that I missed to do here, folks, as I mentioned here, after you have performed the DML operation, you have to deliver the change event, right? Before delivering, it is not logical to go and perform this validation. So how we can deliver it? By using the test dot get event bus dot deliver method. With the help of this deliver method, you can go and deliver the change event notification. So this is how we have validated for the insertion part. Now how you can do the same thing for the update. So for that, first I'm making the query on the contact. So let me put here another thing as the contact. Let me put here the queried con is equal to select again id comma first name comma last name comma email from contact where the id is equal to I have to go and update the same contact, and that is the reason I'm passing the ID here, where ID is equal to con.id, right? So that I can get the contact, and after that I can go and change the email address on that contact. So here I go and perform the queried con dot email is equal to, let me put the updated email address as the take journey with Ankit at the rate test.com. During the creation, this was the email address. After that, I am updating the email address like this. And again, I have performed that. I will go and perform the DML operation. For that, again, I am using the update operation on the queried contact. And in the end, again, I have to go and deliver the notification. So I am delivering this again with the help of deliver method. Now the next thing, I have to again validate whether the task has been created or not. So let me again copy this complete part and put it here. I, as I'm already declaring the task above, no need to redeclare it again. So I'm taking out this from here. The subject line is a bit different whenever we are performing the update operation. So let me go and copy the subject line and put it here, right? And in the assertion, again, if it is failing, to let me know that it is failing during the update scenario, here I am again changing the assertion message. During updation, the change event has been failed. So my test class looks good to me. Not sure what is this error. Let me go and simply check. Okay, let's go and try to deploy this and validate whether the functionality is coming up as expected or not. So key takeaways from this test method is, first is the test.enable change data capture, where we are enabling the change event notification in the test class. And second thing is test.getEventBus.deliver, where we are delivering the change event notification. Now let me go and deploy this. My test class is created successfully. Now let's go and execute this test class. For that, I'm now clicking on this flask icon, and here let me go and refresh if I am getting that test method. So this is the test method that I have written, contact change event trigger helper test, and this is the test method inside that, right? So let me go and run the test class from here. My test class is executing. We'll hold for a minute. You can see here my test class is passed, and I am getting the pass rate as 100%. That means the complete logic has been executed successfully. I do request folks, please do the hands-on for both the trigger as well as the test class. And if you guys stuck somewhere, kindly let me know in the comment section. You can also reach out to me on the Telegram channel as well. I hope you guys found today's session helpful. Kindly share your thoughts in the comment section as well. Thank you folks. Happy learning. Bye bye.